It's a new year and the first everything I watched for January. I just want to say I appreciate everyone who's watched the video, liked, and subscribed. You guys are great. As usual, we got a lot to cover. We got new stuff, old stuff, and everything for this month. I'll have my top 5 as usual, so make sure you tell me what you watched this month. Like and subscribe for a guy. I really appreciate it. Follow me on Letterboxd, Ralph Vader. I'll link it below. And let's get into everything I watched in January. Miami Connection, 1987, directed by YK Kim and Park Woo Sang. Gotta say, one of the worst movies I've watched in a long time. This is an 80s film about some guys who do karate and play rock music. Oh, this one was not it. It was bad, it was cheesy, and I love cheesy 80s movies, but this one was not it. I'm going to give Miami Connection a 4 out of 10. Man on Fire, 2004, directed by Tony Scott. Denzel and Tony Scott, one of their collaborations of many. Rest in peace to Tony Scott, a great director. These guys were great collaborators. I had a lot of fun with this movie. It's about a man in Mexico who's a security guard for a young lady, a very young child, and she gets kidnapped, and this dude just goes absolutely ape-ish to get her back. Fun time with Denzel. Definitely suggest this. I'm going to give Man on Fire an 8 out of 10. Throwdown, 2004, directed by Johnny To. An interesting movie about judo, and it's all about that. You got 2 guys and a woman who meet under interesting circumstances, and they go through this whole movie trying to get money and fighting everyone. It's an interesting film. I had a decent time with it. If you're into Hong Kong fighting movies, I would give this a shot. I'm going to give Throwdown a 7.5 out of 10. The Shrouds, 2024, directed by David Cronenberg. Anyone who's watched this channel knows I am a Cronenberg fan. He's made some of my favorite movies. This one here, an interesting film about grief and loss, starring Vincent Cassel. A man invents these interesting jackets to put over people when they die, and you can see them while they're in their grave sites. You can watch them decay and change and stuff like that. It is very interesting. Gotta say, I did love a lot of what they had to offer here, and there was a lot I didn't like, but I think the strong scenes were really strong. So I think this is worth watching. Vincent Cassel gives a great performance. I'm going to give The Shrouds a 7.8 out of 10. Smiley Face, 2007, directed by Greg Araki. Smiley Face, man, a fun time stoner film starring Anna Faris. I had a fun time with this movie. It's goofy, different from Greg Araki's other movies. You know, I'm a big fan of a lot of his 90s and early 2000s films, but this was a change of pace for him, and it was nice. Funny, goofy. I mean, it's literally about a stoner girl who's trying to get money so she can make these cupcakes. Yeah, it's pretty bad, but bad in a good way. I loved it. I'm going to give Smiley Face an 8 out of 10. Our first top 5 of the month, Smooth Talk, 1985, directed by Joyce Chopra. A great coming-of-age story starring the lovely Laura Dern. Very young role for her. She was probably maybe maybe 18 in this. Laura Dern gives a great performance here. It's really just a story about this woman a young lady over the summer, discovering who she is sexually and things like that. And the movie takes an interesting turn I did not see coming, but I had a great time with this 80s vibe out, summertime, coming of age film. Thought it was a great work. I'm going to give Smooth Talk a 9 out of 10. Soldier Blue, 1970, directed by Ralph Nelson. A Western for the ages. This movie was violent. This movie was very crazy. It went there. It's about a young soldier who kind of discovers that the U.S. military is not quite what he thought it was. And he meets a young woman who's been rolling around with some natives, and she knows a little bit more about life than him. This movie does say a lot about our current society, and it is very aware of some of the things that have gone on in this country, and I appreciated that about it. I'm going to give Soldier Blue a 7.5 out of 10. Our next top 5 of the month, Left-Handed Girl, 2025, directed by Shou Shin. A frequent collaborator with one of my favorite directors, Sean Baker. This movie, Left-Handed Girl, was absolutely amazing. About a young woman, a young girl, very young girl, who is left-handed, and her grandfather tells her that that hand is evil. So she ends up using that hand to do a bunch of fun stuff. This was a great drama. I'm gonna be real. It definitely plays like a Sean Baker movie. He edited it and helped write it, so it makes sense. But I could not have had a better time with this. I'm going to give Left-Handed Girl a 9.3 out of 10. People We Meet on Vacation, 2026, directed by Brett Haley. Now, I'm usually not good with these romance these book adaptation romance movies. But you know what? This film had a lot of charm in the first half. I actually was vibing with it, and then it takes that turn that we inevitably knew was going to happen. And I won't lie, it kind of kills the film a little bit. But for early the year Netflix romance film, no one's going to really talk about. Wasn't bad. I'll give People We Meet on Vacation 7 out of 10. Lake Mungo, 2008, directed by Joel Anderson. All right, this movie was competing with Miami Connection for Worst of the Month. This movie was not good. I couldn't stand it. A fake documentary about a family who loses the daughter, and it's kind of just what they all individually go through dealing with this loss. And man, this movie was boring. It just didn't work, man. It has a couple little scenes, but I'm sorry, I couldn't suggest this to you. I'm going to give Lake Mungo a 4.3 out of 10. The Wife, 2017, directed by Bjorn Rung. Oh man, great performance from the lovely Glenn Close, which I believe she got an Oscar nom for, if I'm not mistaken. She was fantastic in this movie. This movie is about a woman who's been writing the novels for her husband, who has been getting massive critical acclaim, and the resentment is starting to kick in, and it's bleeding into their marriage. I had a great time with this movie. I think it's definitely got a lot of good themes, even though they don't tackle them all perfectly. I still think this was an excellent watch. I'm going to give The Wife an 8 out of 10. Blockers, 2018, directed by Kay Cannon. Blocker is a good coming of age story about a bunch of high schoolers who want to lose their virginity on prom. Sounds like a bunch of other movies we've seen, but what makes this movie stand out and different is because it's really told through the eyes of the parents who are trying to stop them from doing so. Oh, this was a fun ride. You know, they don't really make movies like this anymore. You got a good cast: John Cena, Leslie Mann, the guy from Neighbors. I can't remember his name. He was really funny in this. The kids were all good. I had a great time with this movie. You know, it's a good comedy that we don't get too often these days. Nice and raunchy, you know, reminds us of like the early 2000s stuff. I'm going to give Blockers a 7.4 out of 10. The Rip, 2025, directed by Joe Carnahan. All right, The Rip. Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Netflix movie. A lot of people were talking about it, saying it was really good. I'm going to have to disagree. This movie was okay at best. Very predictable, very predictable. It goes all these places, and then it doesn't really sew it up well. And the ending falls all the way off the rails for me. I mean, if you're into surface level cop dramas, this may service you, but I mean, anyone who likes their stuff served up a little nicer, I don't know if this one's for you. I'm going to give The Rip a 6.2 out of 10. The Colors Within, 2024, directed by Naoka Yamada. This was a fun movie, an anime movie about three kind of lost souls who end up meeting in a weird way, and they start a punk band, or just a band. And the band's decent, you know, they have a good time, they learn a lot about each other, themselves, etc. But this movie's a total ripoff of Linda Linda Linda, the Japanese film from I think it's 2004 or 5, which is a fantastic movie that I love. So it was kind of hard for me to separate the two, but The Colors Within was still a fun watch. I'll give The Colors Within a 7.4 out of 10. Next, top 5 of the month. Read My Lips. 2001, directed by Jacques Audiard. Like I said before, I don't know what happened with Emilio Perez, but Jacques Audiard, that dude can make a movie, man. This movie was fantastic. Maybe my favorite watch of the month. Starring Vincent Cassel, been on him this month. This movie is about a young woman who works in an office who is deaf and she can read lips. And her and a ex-convict end up becoming friends in a weird way and end up doing some interesting crimes together. I absolutely adored this movie. This is a me kind of movie. It had my name written all over it. I loved it start to finish. So I am going to give Read My Lips a perfect 10 out of 10. Assault on Precinct 13, 1976, directed by John Carpenter. John Carpenter, man, one of the best of all time. One of his very, very early films. This may even have been his first film. I'm not sure. Probably not. But this movie is an interesting one. It's about zombies with guns trying to attack this old precinct that's getting ready to shut down, and these select few people gotta protect themselves. It's just a wild action movie, man. It's a short, quick watch. You know, it's just a bang 'em up fun time, something to kill a good hour and a half with. I'm going to give Assault on Precinct 13 a 7.3 out of 10. She's Having a Baby, 1988, directed by John Hughes. John Hughes, man, the legends, directed some of the greatest teen films of all time. This film is about, starring the Baconator, Kevin Bacon. This film is about a man who marries a woman he loves, and they kind of go through and have the irregular American dream. And it kind of shows some of the things that can, you know, get in between a marriage, but I'm going to keep it real. It's just the American dream in the 1980s where life seemed a lot simpler, a lot better for a lot of people, depending on who you are. But I mean, this just takes you back to a simpler time in life. And that's one thing I can't appreciate, even though I don't think the movie is that great. So I'm going to give She's Having a Baby a 6.3 out of 10. Purple Noon, 1960, directed by René Clement. Oh man, great French film starring the man, Alain Delon, rest in peace, one of the best French actors. This movie is The Talented Mr. Ripley, based off the novel. And if you've seen the, I believe it's what, 99, 98, 99 movie with Matt Damon, very, very similar, but this is much, much better. I think Alain Delon gives an outstanding performance, and I do think Matt Damon tried to channel his inner Delane, but I don't know if it quite worked. I like this much better than The Talented Mr. Ripley. I'm going to give Purple Noon an 8.4 out of 10. Eternity, 2025, directed by David Frayne. Eternity, a good movie starring my man Miles Teller, the lovely Elizabeth Olsen, and the one Irish actor. I think his name's Callum something. He was good too. This is about a man who dies. He chokes on like a pretzel or something, and when you die, instead of going to heaven, hell, wherever, you go to kind of like a waiting room, and you have to pick the eternity you want to live out in. And so instead of him picking right away, he decides he wants to wait for his wife to die so they can spend eternity together, but complications arise when she gets there. Fun time, funny movie. Definitely a good date night movie. I would suggest this if you just want a silly rom-com. I'm going to give Eternity a 7.7 out of 10. The Ballad of Wallace Island, 2025, directed by James Griffith. This was actually kinda close to making my top 5. I actually enjoyed this movie more than I realized I did on the first watch. This film is about a rich man who wants to have his favorite band play on the island he lives in a private concert for him. And so when they get there, all kinds of things happen, but it's a lovely music movie where people are learning things about themselves, getting over things, moving on, all kinds of stuff comes out on this island. And I thought it was just a fun time with some good actors, nice, simple, sometimes less is more really works. Reminded me of like an old Ingmar Bergman movie or something. I'm going to give The Ballad of Wallace Island an 8.6 out of 10. Little Amelie, or The Character of the Rain, 2025, directed by Melius Valad and Leanne Cho Han. This movie is up for Best Animated Feature, and I understand why. It's a lovely, interesting animation style. It's about a Belgian family. Yeah, I think they're from Belgium. Belgian family who moves to Japan, and the youngest daughter is kind of growing up there. So she has a strong connection to the country, to the people there, to the environment there, and of course to her nanny, who is a Japanese woman that she just takes to so much. And it's a very sweet story, it's got some cool animation and, simple, nice little family watch, something you can watch with the kids. I'm going to give Little Amelie an 8.3 out of 10. Sketch, 2024, directed by Seth Worley. Sketch had to be one of my biggest shockers of the month. This movie was pretty cool. It's about a family who's dealing with the loss of the mother, and they're all grieving in their own way. And the daughter grieves through drawing these scary, freaky pictures in her sketchbook. And the sketchbook ends up falling into a pond that has magic powers and brings these images to life. And it's just a fun time, like kid action kind of horror movie where they gotta fight these things, and it's really cool. I had a good time with it. I was very shocked at how well this was made. I'm going to give Sketch an 8 out of 10. Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates, 2016, directed by Jake Szymanski. Anybody who knows me knows I love Zac Efron, love Aubrey Plaza. I've really grown to like Anna Kendrick over the last few years, I must say. Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates is just a goofy ass comedy. It's about these two dudes whose parents tell them they're too wild and they need dates for their sister's wedding to keep them in check. So they do all this weird stuff to find dates, and they end up getting two of the wrong girls, and it's freaking hilarious, man. I had a good time with it. It's goofy, it's stupid. Of course, it's nothing you take too serious. Just a great mindless way to kill an hour and 45 minutes. I'm going to give Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates 7.4 out of 10. The Left-Handed Gun, 1958, directed by Arthur Penn. Western movie about Billy the Kid, starring the great Paul Newman, one of the best of all time. And this movie, if you know the story of Billy the Kid, I'm guessing this is what it is. I'm going to be honest, I haven't done much research on him. It's just a name I've heard a lot. But it's basically a revenge story about a man who's really wants to get revenge for the people who killed someone that mentored him. And it gets dark and it's gritty, but there's some fun scenes in it, and Paul Newman gives a great performance. I will give The Left-Handed Gun a 7.8 out of 10. Song Sung Blue, 2025, directed by Craig Brewer. All right, we'll talk about Craig Brewer again in a minute, but all right, so everybody was dogging this movie out. Everybody was just saying how cliche it is and how terribly written and all this stuff. And so I kind of went into this with low expectations, and I must say, I think most of these people were wrong. Is this movie cliche? Absolutely. Is it cheesy? Absolutely. Is it a paint by numbers, stick to a script? And I don't mean this writing. It's very formulaic. But that works sometimes. And this is one of those instances where it works. Hugh Jackman giving a great performance. A great performance, in my opinion. I thought he was so overlooked in this last year. Obviously, Kate Hudson is getting her flowers. Just got an Oscar nom for this, and she was very good in this. I really, really love the young girl who played their daughter in this. She was fantastic. I am very excited to see where she goes. I'm sorry her name's missing me. But I had fun with this movie. It hit me on my emotions. I was entertained. I like the music. If you're a Neil Diamond fan, you'll definitely like this movie. I don't know. I just don't quite understand the hate it's getting, but I don't understand a lot of things. So I'm going to give Song Sung Blue an 8.3 out of 10. Spy, 2015, directed by Paul Feig. Paul Feig's an interesting director. This is an interesting movie starring Melissa McCarthy, and she's playing a spy, a high-level spy, but she's kind of thrown into a situation she's never been in, and she's got to work her way through it. Got my girl Rose Byrne in here giving a great performance. Love her. Would love for her to win the Oscar this year, even though she won't. And we got Jason Statham and what's the guy's name? Jude Law. A lot of good people in here. It's a decent time. It's got some laughs, but I won't lie. It missed me on some of the jokes. I'm going to give Spy a 7.3 out of 10. Next, top 5 of the month. The Sisters Brothers, 2018, directed by Jacques Audiard. Man, Jacques Audiard, man. I keep coming back to this guy, and I have been loving what I'm seeing from him. This is a good Western movie starring Joaquin Phoenix, John C. Reilly, and my man Jake Gyllenhaal, and the guy from The Sound of Metal. And he was in Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal. He was his partner. They reunited. I cannot remember his name. He's a great actor. Sorry I'm missing your name right now, but he was great. Everybody in this film was good. The performances were good. This movie's about two brothers who are trying to find these two guys for a specific reason. And once they meet the guys, their plans kind of change. And I gotta say, it is a wild ride. I must say the ending left a little to be desired for me, but that does not stop that this was a fun ride. I'm going to give The Sisters Brother a 9 out of 10. The Tale of the Fox, 1937, directed by Ladislas Starevich and Irene Sterwicks. Hope I got their names right. 1937 stop motion animation film that took 10 years to make, and this film was amazing. What great stop motion. A funny movie. I laughed the whole time. Just about a sly fox conning everybody in the village. And it's so funny. I had a great time with this. I thought the action was really good. I was just very impressed at what I was seeing for a stop motion movie so old, because this movie's better than a lot of new stop motion movies that I've seen. Free on YouTube if you want to watch. I'm going to give Tale of the Fox an 8.8 out of 10. Black Snake Moan, 2016, directed by Craig Brewer. Like I said, I was going to talk about this guy again. He's directed some pretty good films like Hustle and Flow, which was a big splash when it came out. And this movie starring Sam Jackson and Christina Ricci about, it's literally about a guy trying to save a woman from her issues. And, we can take a lot of issues with some of the themes or whatever that's going on here. But overall, this movie is really about a surrogate father and daughter situation. And I thought the chemistry between Sam and Christina was amazing. And despite all the other flaws this movie may have, that chemistry and that connection really carried me through. And I had a great time with this film. I'm going to give Black Snake Moan an 8.4 out of 10. Last top 5 of the month. Les Notes, 1961, directed by Michelangelo Antonioni. Wow. This is what I call a film, man. This is a film. And this film has been sitting with me since I watched it. A film, it's really just a day in the life of a couple in Milan who are kind of having some issues, and we see them go through and meet people and see how they interact. And this movie had my name written all over it. I mean, we get a lovely performance from the great Monica Vitti in this movie. My man Marcello's in here giving a great performance. This is just this is cinema to me, and I absolutely adored this film on every single level, and I cannot wait to watch it again. I'm going to give La Note a perfect 10 out of 10. Last but not least, Ginger Snaps 2000, directed by John Fawcett. An interesting, fun high school body horror movie that was definitely a blueprint for Jennifer's Body, about a young woman who's attacked by a werewolf, and her sister are trying to figure out how to stop this from spreading. I actually had a fun time with this movie for the first hour. I actually thought it played really well. It was slick. I was enjoying it. But I do think it falls a little bit off the rails in the end. The end could be tightened down, easily cut about 15 minutes. And some of the decisions by the lead character was really getting to me. But I did have fun with this cult classic. And I think it's definitely one people should throw on for the next Halloween season. I'm going to give Ginger Snaps a 7.4 out of 10. Guys, thank you so much for watching my Everything I Watched in January. Make sure you let me know what you watched down in the comments. If you made it this far, you might as well like the video and subscribe for a guy. I really appreciate it. Follow me on Letterboxd, Ralph Vader. I'll link that below. I got a podcast from my buddy, The Cutting Room Floor. I'll link that below for more movie content. Let me know if there's a film or topic you'd like me to review. And I'll be back next week. And don't forget the popcorn.